What is going on, everybody? This is Mike from the last Corvette. So really quick, I know I posted another video last night, but I actually ended up picking up brand new O-rings for the second time. And what I also did, if you can see right over here, I put one single zip tie. It has nothing to do with the tabs being broken. It's because there is so much tension since these lines are new. There was actually play in this female fitting, and it was sitting slightly on an angle and off center. So now it's sitting nice and square, and I believe it's going to help me a little bit more when it comes to aligning it inside the car. Even though I was able to do it last night, you know, on my garage floor, but it's a different story, and it will also center everything much better as far as the crossover pipe going into the tank. So yeah, I picked up a another kit. Here is the O-ring. Let me see if I can find that. There you go. So if you can look here, yeah, see that little nick there? I think that happened during my first attempt. I saw it last night, and I also have the green one. But anyway, I ended up going to the dealership, gmoutletparts.com, and that's the part number there. Actually, right here is the part number here. But anyway, I got some spare O-rings anyway. But yeah, once again, green, spacer, yellow, sleeve. So all that's in, and now all I'm going to do is just pick a day where I have time, and I'm going to do the reassembly. And then while I'm doing the reassembly, I'll make sure I'll take kind of step-by-step videos to show you guys exactly what it takes to you know, reinstall this fuel tank back in the car. But I'm going to tell you something, you know, honest take on this whole job is this: it's all about preparation. And yes, of course, it helps if you have experience dealing, you know, with either Corvettes, settle style tanks, you know, XLRs, Corvettes, C5s, C6s, C7s, whatever, because you know the little tricks and tips and whatnot. But I can tell you this, obviously I didn't lube my O-rings. That was one. They're brand new. My return line inside the tank is new. I try to explain that. And last night when I was messing around with just this whole, trying to get a feel for it, I realized that my brand new return line, or return lines I should say, the female side that goes in the tank, like I said, wasn't seated all the way. So if you know, picture this being square, slightly kicked out like that, and I could actually push it in with my thumb. And when you insert the crossover pipe, what it's going to do, it's going to kick the crossover pipe on a slight angle, whatever that angle is. And it's definitely not going to help you when you're, like I said, when you're looking up at the tank and the crossover. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to lube the crap out of the tank side. I'm going to lube the crap out of the male side of the crossover pipe. I'm going to double check the crossover pipe to make sure everything is locked in. And I'm going to, you know, just give it a go. Now, another thing that I'm going to do that I didn't do first time is I'm going to put the tank in position, which I'll show you guys, you know, like the process that I, you know, took the first time, which had nothing to do with why I had to drop the tank. It was crossover pipe issues. But I'll show you guys the steps that I take to get the tank up in position. But I'm gonna, I believe this time I'm gonna put the bottom plate that holds the tank in place, like the skid plate, right, on with few bolts to support the tank, so it kind of sits in exact position. Versus the first time I had it free floating, the filler hose was connected. The evap line was connected. Obviously the harness plug wasn't connected. It was just kind of, you know, in the area. And I was holding the tank up, right? And then it's actually, the tank was more so on my stomach, But I think this time, once I get it into position, and remember, there's not a lot of room there. So once you get to a certain point, you're going to connect your evap, the top evap line that lives above the crossover pipe first, which once again, I'll show you guys that in the next video. And then the next step is to get the crossover pipe away from the tank just enough. I guess you have to kind of like twist it and push it out of the way just enough to clear the tank and push it all the way up, and then guide the crossover pipe back in. That's the tricky part. That's when that whole middle hanger you guys probably read about a lot comes in. You literally take the crossover pipe and you push down on it, and it pops out, and a lot of times it'll pop back in as you're trying to work it. But if you pop it out of the little retainer, the little hanger right center of the vehicle, it'll give you more flexibility, and you'll be able to move the crossover pipe out of the way, get the tank in place, and then guide the crossover pipe back in. So with that said, new O-rings, just because I didn't want to risk it. There was a little tiny chunk, little piece missing, right? And the whole purpose of the green O-ring, the sleeve or the spacer, then the yellow one, and then the guide is to keep the fuel in the tank when your tank is full and you have fuel in the passenger side tank, and obviously when you're filling up and you're transferring fuel over. So I definitely didn't want to just take a risk and say, you know, it's okay. And, you know, just my luck, it would freaking start to, you know, drip or leak. And, you know, in that position, it would actually leak right on the exhaust, versus normally when you have your fuel pump leaks out of the high pressure elbow area, most of the time it's kind of just leaks down the side of the tank, and it, you know, pulls up, smells like shit. But, you know, the fuel hitting the exhaust is pretty minute actually. But if it leaks from the crossover side, yeah, absolutely, you're going to get fuel all over the place there, and there's a good possibility you could, you know, create a marshmallow burning effect. So anyway, like I said, next video we'll try to put the tank back in, and hopefully everything goes in like it should. And if it doesn't slide in, so the female side of the return lines, like I said, now I have it zip tied in one corner, just basically pushing it square. But if it doesn't slide in, which I don't expect it to, just because it's, you know, once again, I put brand new O-rings in. So before I do a test, or I should say before I do a actual install, I am going to test fit with my spare crossover pipe that I got, just to make sure I can work it in and out. But I did find that instead of pushing it in and just forcing it, doing the back and forth wiggle thus helps. So basically, if this is the crossover pipe, instead of pushing it in, the initial push you need to seat, you'll feel the male side kind of slide into the female side of the crossover pipe fittings. But from there, you just have to kind of wiggle it this way to work the sleeve and the metal portion of the crossover pipe into the cavity of the tank, which makes sense. Alrighty, talk to you guys later.